here's my question. Why? Why? And I know I'm preaching to the choir here, but I can't help but wonder this, and I'm sure you'll wonder this too. Why isn't centrism the object of ridicule everywhere? Why is that not the case? Like why? First of all, let's get a couple things clear. Centrism in contemporary United States politics isn't a real thing. It's not real. It doesn't exist. If you are a centrist by contemporary United States standards, you are right-wing. You're a conservative. I like to call you a CID, conservative in denial, because you're a conservative. You just don't want to be called that. But you're conservative. There's nothing remotely middle of the road about your views, because a centrist in contemporary United States politics isn't sure about universal health care, isn't sure about tuition-free college, is pro-fracking in most cases, is against living wages, is probably to the right on most social issues too. Or you're half and half. You see both sides. You're conservative. That's what you are. You're conservative, or worse, you're a blank suit. So why, I mean, when someone says, I'm kind of a moderate, you should stop listening to them. That's if someone says I'm a moderate, I'm not listening anymore. I stop listening. At least with the Republicans. They make it clear what they're about. At least with Republicans, hey, if you're poor, we don't give a shit. If you're poor, hurry up and die. That could be the GOP slogan, by the way, and they'd still beat the Democrats. Hey, if you're poor, hurry up and die. Vote for us. And it would probably work for them. They'd probably still win. So why isn't centrism just the object of ridicule? In even in bigger spaces. It's not even real. It's fake. It's not real. There is no you're right wing. In other countries, you'd be considered far right wing. I mean, we watched a clip on the Jimmy Dore show of Theresa May and Jeremy Corbyn arguing over the NHS. They weren't arguing over whether or not the NHS should exist. They were arguing over how much money should be put into it. And of course, Theresa May is to the right, so she was arguing there should be less. They're arguing for privatization within that system to benefit the rich. Yes. But even the right wing agreed that it should be a thing, that nobody should die out in the streets, that they should have a universal system. So if you're not even sure about that and you consider yourself a moderate, guess what? You're not a moderate. You're a conservative in denial. You know what a moderate is? A moderate is that person in high school that just said whatever people wanted to hear so that everybody liked them, but in the end they were just two-faced. If they were talking to somebody that didn't like Joe, they didn't like Joe. But when they were talking to Joe and Joe didn't like Barry, they didn't like Barry either. They stood for nothing. They're that person. That's a moderate. That's what a moderate is. So why? It should be a kiss of death. When you say I'm a moderate, it should be a true just recipe to lose. And honestly, it already is. In many ways, it already is. So let me see what you guys are saying. Centrism, Austin says centrism is nihilism. You'd have to expand on that. How is it nihilism? I don't think it's nihilism because it's... Here's why I disagree that it's nihilism, even though I like that sentiment, but I don't think I see it that way. But I would say centrism is not nihilism because they still give reverence to our contemporary system. You know what I mean? Like they're saying, we're middle of the road in this contemporary system that we think deserves reverence. And that's why, by the way, I have been asked a number of times if I would ever run for office, which I'm flattered when people suggest that to me. It is flattering, and so thanks, I guess. But the answer is no, and the reason the answer is no is because to be successful in office, the sad reality of it is you have to have some reverence for our system and for our process. I don't. I just don't. To me, our contemporary system is so clearly a grift and so clearly corrupt beyond saving that I just don't see any need to throw any reverence into it. It's not deserving of reverence. You know, I went to a Democratic meeting once because there were a lot of actual progressives there, because this was in the Los Angeles area, and I was there to promote the municipal internet task force that we're working on. And I was, I made fun of the mayor when I was talking. I made fun of, I kind of did like a little, some people thought it was a routine. It really wasn't. It was just me off the top of my head. But and some people thought that I was sort of not showing the proper respect for their space. And, they never approached me directly about it. I heard this secondhand that some people felt that way. Had they approached me directly about it, I would say your space is in no way deserving any respect whatsoever. The fact that you have Democratic Party near you, you do not deserve any type of reverence at all. I could have said whatever I wanted there, and it would have been appropriate. And I would have not felt bad at all if I offended anybody. In fact, if I offended you, here's an idea. Don't join my fucking task force. Go have reverence for your little party. Go do that. So that's why I don't think that centrism is nihilism, although I do like this the sentiment. Can you be a radical centrist? No, you can't. Dems don't want to absorb left-wing folks. They are still ridiculing them. The Dem strategy was to lose to the left and pick up right-wingers who hated Trump. Well, that's what they say. In reality, winning is not the first priority for the Democrats. We've talked about that a number of times on this show. Winning is the second or third, the third or fourth priority. The first priority is pleasing the donors. The second priority is stopping progressive change, which kind of goes hand in hand with that first priority. The third priority is maybe beating a Republican. But if they don't beat a Republican, the gravy train keeps rolling. So it's not necessarily that Dems are so tone deaf when it comes to strategy. I mean, they are. But in addition to being tone deaf to strategy, winning is also not their first priority. And if you disagree with that, prove me wrong. Somehow prove me wrong. Now, who's an exception to this? An exception to this are all the progressives that are Dem entering. So, if you're going to point to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, okay, that's fair, but she's not part of the Democratic establishment. If you're going to say, well, she wants to win, yeah, I know, but she's not part of the Democratic establishment. Last thing before we move on, is centrism libertarianism? Edwin asks. I would say no. I would say that libertarians, they actually do stand for something. They actually have policy ideas. And libertarianism, even in contemporary United States, is a very broad umbrella at this point. Or wide umbrella, I guess would be the proper terminology there. There's libertarian socialists right now. That's kind of on the rise. And there's some people that are really cool people that are part of that. I think it's a cool thing that is happening. Do I think it all lines up? In my personal humble opinion, no. I've read their platform and I still have a lot of questions where I'm like, how does this add up? But, I respect them nonetheless. And they have a platform and they stand for something. Moderates stand for nothing. They have no platform. They're basically nicer talking Republicans in most cases. They're conservatives in denial. Or, as my buddy Marcus likes to say, I don't know if he's on the stream today, cappuccino conservatives. That's what they are. And this doesn't deserve any reverence. It really doesn't. Libertarians are far right. In many cases, yes, but not in every case. In many cases, yes, they are far right. In some cases, they're further right to the Republicans. But not in every case. So, lesson being, it's time to mock the centrists. It's time to mock the centrists. It's been time.
Get your news on with Ron. Don't you wanna know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you wanna know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and make it our own. Get your